Okay, so with that in mind, we will start on our backs, and I want you to find a way that feels comfortable, right? So adding a little padding down if that feels great for you, right? Legs long, knees bent, arms any way that feel comfortable today, right? And being on a harder surface is nice just to let the spine start to open up, right? So there's a little bit of tractioning here. Right? You might find there's a little wiggling for you to feel more comfortable in the body and the space. Right? And once you're in that spot, we're gonna turn in, let the eyes soften. Right? Maybe we're focusing a gaze on a single place. We might close them completely. Right? And we allow ourselves to just be present. Right? And in that presence, let's bring our awareness into our physical space. Right? Noticing our breath in. Noticing our breath out. Notice how the breath is moving through the body. We might notice where it resides more naturally. Maybe you feel your rib cage moving more. Maybe it moves up or sideways or to the sides. And notice how the belly moves or doesn't move around the breath. And noticing if it's a lot of movement or just a little movement. And then we can bring some consciousness around that. Right. So seeing if we can, with a sense of intention of freedom and openness, finding some expansion of the belly with the breath in and a softening with the breath out. A few times like that. It doesn't have to be very big movement, but again, right, with the intention of finding space and freedom and expansion of the belly, inhaling, right, letting it soften, exhaling. Yeah, a few more times like that. And at the end of our next belly breath, we'll come back to our natural breath. And as we return to our natural breath, we're going to set ourselves up with the feet on the floor. So we'll line up the heels with the hips. The ankles will be closer under to the knees. Arms are going to be long by the sides of the body. I want to keep the neck neutral. So if you had lifted the skull a little bit, flatten it back out or bring it back down towards the mat so that the neck isn't lifted. Yeah. Yeah. And then just gonna start just a few hip raises, right? It doesn't just to like start to move through the body here. So breath in, we're gonna lift up the hips towards the ceiling. We're gonna exhale, we're gonna bring them back down. Right, and I just want to think here about flow. So movement, it doesn't have to be really dynamic. It might be, that might feel great. It might be really subtle here at first. Yeah, and then there's the option here again to add on the arms so that if you are adding them arms as a hips raise, arms come up, maybe all the way overhead. Right? Exhaling, everything will come back down to the mat. Right? So we're thinking about flow, that sense again, still that sense of freedom. So moving in a way that amplifies that feeling. Right, and when we start to tap into that, maybe we see how there might be shifts or how that translates into how the flow looks for us. And just a few more times, moving like you. Yeah, let's take it up one last time here. And as we exhale back down, we're gonna shimmy the hands under the hips so we can just kind of draw that thumb and pointer finger underneath the hips. And then as those come to anchor us down, how we're gonna draw the thighs in towards the belly. Looking at the back of the legs now, we're gonna stretch the feet up towards the ceiling. All right, so we're here for a few breaths, feeling as we breathe here that there's a sense of maybe extending the legs a little more, maybe not, we're playing with that. Yeah, we can circle out to the ankles, right? Any way that feels organic, just kind of moving through the ankles. Yeah, if it makes sense, the way you're circling descended in the other direction, do that. Yeah, coming to still the circles, wiggle out through the toes, stretch out through the toes. And then flex the feet back, and with the feet flexed back, we're going to turn the toes to the outside edges of the mat, and then we're going to turn the toes back to center. We're going to turn the toes to the outside edges of the mat. Yep, back to center. One more time like that. Out. And then back to center. As the toes come back to center, then we're going to point the toes up towards the ceiling, and then actively flex the toes back towards the shins. Yep, pointing toes up. Big flex back. One more time like that. Toes up. Big flex back. Good job. Letting the feet come to relax. Knees are going to rebend. Feet are going to reconnect to the mat. And as the feet reconnect to the mat, take the arms out from underneath you and send them out to the sides with the palms up so we're feeling wide across the chest. And then outside edges of the feet are going to move to the outside edges of the mat. Here's where we're going to start to swing the knees side to side. So the staggered knees allow us the opportunity, right, to move more actively into the hips. So that's there for you if that feels appropriate. Right, it allows us still to stay in a really soft way around that area too, right? So you are checking in with yourself, moving in a way that feels, right, appropriate, right? If we're looking for that feeling of freedom and ease, that's how we're moving into our practice today. All right, let the knees come back to center. So center is like they're going to be up towards the ceiling. We still have the outside edges of the feet at the outside edges of the mat. Keep the feet there, but then steeple the knees in towards each other. So it's going to be a soft stretch across the lower back. We're going to keep the legs like that. Now with our arms, palms are up. Stretch a little bit wider, fingertip to fingertip. Spread the fingers out really wide. We're going to breathe in. We're going to have these big palms, wide fingers up towards the ceiling. When we breathe out, we're going to rotate the palms down to the floor. We're going to inhale. We're going to rotate arms up. Exhaling, palms down. One more time like that. Inhaling, arms up. Exhaling, palms down. Inhaling, palms back up. You can let the hands feel a little bit more relaxed here. We'll still have the open arms. Exhaling, we're going to give ourselves a hug. You might even kind of wrap and give yourself a big squeeze. We're going to open up wide again. Exhaling, hug with the opposite arm on top. A few times like that. All right, the next time that we come into a hug, we're going to stay with the arms crossed and we're going to give ourselves a massage down the arms. So hands can start at the shoulders. We're going to give a little massage all the way down the arms. All right, we can move through the wrists and the hands. See if you can gently draw each finger back. And if it feels okay for your body, we'll interlace all the fingers and then stretch the palms up towards the ceiling. Right, so here's a nice stretch through the elbows, yes, through the wrists as well. If there's space, you can take that all the way overhead. So we're going to breathe in. We're going to make it as big as we can. And then the exhale, let the arms go. Bring the feet back in towards each other. So now ankles are in alignment as well as knees. And then from here, we're going to draw the belly button straight towards the mat. So when I'm drawing my belly button down, I'm lengthening through my lower back. I'm going to keep my feet connected, right? So it's kind of like I'm really engaged, like you are really engaging deeply with your deep abdominal pelvic floor muscles, just kind of holding there. Try not to tense the shoulders up, just trying to focus on that sense of contraction, deep center. You got one more belly breath here, drawing the belly in. All right, exhale, you're gonna let it go. Belly comes back to neutral, space under the lower back, comes back to neutral. From here, we're gonna make our way into tabletop. So you can roll onto your side and press yourself up, or you can roll lengthwise on the spine. So however you wanna travel. All right, and so now we are going to be on our knees for a little bit. So here might be where you want to open up your padding so you have a little bit extra under the knees. Right, so no. All right. Right, so as we're making our way into tabletop, we're going to set ourselves up with those fingers spread wide. Right, I have my wrists under my shoulders, my hips are over my knees. We're going to take a few cat and cow here. That means when we breathe in, tailbone's going to lift. Belly's going to drop to the floor, gaze turns forward, and then when we exhale, tucking the tailbone, arcing the spine, chin to the chest. Yeah, a few times like that. And if it feels okay for you, this might be where the eyes kind of soften or close. Yeah, we start to again tune in so we can really allow the breath to be the guide. So movement follows breath. We might find that that changes up the pace of our movement a little bit. Let's take one more full round here. Belly down cow. Right to spine up cat. And then from cat, we're going to lengthen out. All right, so long spine. Thinking about the skull staying in alignment with the spine. So I'm kind of drawing the chin up a little bit. Belly stays engaged. From here, we're going to bring the knees back in towards each other. So ankles and knees are closer together. And then I'm going to take my left heel towards my glute. So I'm going to bend that knee. We're going to make some movements here with the knee, but I want us to try to keep the lower back even. All right. So I'm going to take the knee up towards my belly, out to the side. It's going to move back and down and around again. Yep. Right, so this is a lot about the hips, so we're not arcing the spine, we're not moving hips points up or down. We're trying to really just stay at the leg movement best that we're able. As the knees come back together, send it the other way, right? So knee back, then to the side, then forward and down, right? I might be making a lot of noise, right? Mine is a lot of popping and clicking, but that's not pain. So if it's pain, that's different. So listen to your body. All right, as the knees come back together, then just lengthen out through that left leg. So start to flex through the foot and stretch the leg all the way back as if you're standing on a wall behind you or pushing a door closed or something. We're going to stay here, belly's engaged. Maybe our right arm extends out long. Let's take 3 breaths, breathing in, breathing out 1, breathing in, breathing out 2, breathing in, Breathing out, 3. Both hands come back down, both knees come back down. Shift the hips back to the heels. So we'll take a few breaths in child's pose. If you need to roll out through the wrists again, you can drop the elbows and wiggle out through the fingers. You might feel fine just staying in the shape in a place of stillness. So again, listening to yourself, taking actions where you can. Let's take one more breath cycle here. As your next inhale comes, we're going to make our way again into tabletop. As we bring our shoulders back over our wrists and our hips over our knees, we're going to keep the knees still in towards each other. We're going to move through that cycle on our second side. So now I'm bending my right knee, so that right heel comes up towards my glute. And then I'm going to draw the knee up towards the belly, out to the side, back, and then knees back together. A few times like that. Trying to keep the spine neutral, the hips neutral as I circle here. Yep. All right, as the knees come back together, you're going to go the other way. So we're going to send first the knee back, then to the side, then forward and down. Yeah, a few times that way. All right, the next time that the knees come back together, here's where we start to flex that right foot and then press out long through that leg. Toes stay pointed towards the floor. Option to add in that extended left arm. 3 breaths. Breathing in. Breathing out, 1. Breathing in. Breathing out, 2. Breathing in. Breathing out, 3. Nice job. Both hands come back down to the mat. Both knees come back down to the mat. We're going to move through down dog into a standing forward fold. So tuck the toes. Lengthen out the legs. If you're using cushioning under the knees, you might be able to just kind of roll that off to the side. Yeah, step the feet to the outer edges of the mat. And the knees are going to be a little bit soft. Soften the knees a little bit, even more than maybe you're accustomed to. And then see if that lets you feel like your arms can get just a little bit longer, a little bit stronger. We might feel in behind the knees. You might feel now the heels moving more actively towards the mat. Super strong shape. Lift the kneecaps. Feel the quads engage. You might even draw that belly up and in again. Good job. One more breath here. Right, at the end of the exhale, soften the knees and then take the hands back towards the feet. All right, as the hands come back towards the feet, keep the fingertips connected to the mat. So that might mean the knees are really bendy. Right, we're using gravity here so the head's moving towards the mat, the neck feels easy. You can say yes with the head. You can say no with the head. We can give ourselves a little I don't know, a little shoulder shrug side to side. Yeah. Take the fingertips over to the right. They might connect somewhere down the right leg, so you might hold on a little more towards the knee or the calf. You might be able to have the fingertips still on the floor or the mat. Yeah, and then breathe in back through center with the fingers. Exhale, take the fingers over to the left. Same thing, they're going to connect somewhere, maybe on the left leg, maybe they're on the floor. Good job. End of the exhale. Your inhale brings you back through center. At center, drop your seat a little bit more, and then use your next in-breath to start to roll up to standing. Yeah, as we come all the way up at the top of the head, right, we can bring the hands together at the center of the chest. We can keep that little bit wider stance still, so I know our feet are towards the outer edges of the mat. We can hold on to that. Now lift up the toes so you can feel the corners of the feet really connect down to the mat. And then you can let the toes also relax down. Right, feel that again, the lifting of the toes. Feel how that turns on the quads and lifts the belly. I want you to see if you can keep that activation in the up in the belly and the legs while you return the toes to the ground. Right, if you lost it, do it one more time. See if you can hold it. Good job. Toes are going to come down. All right, we're going to inhale. We're going to shift the hips back. We're going to bend the knees, and then the arms are going to extend out. Right, and then the exhale, we're going to press back up, and we're going to move the arms behind us. Right, so we're playing with range of motion. Right, so you're looking like you. Right, it might be really big and a deep drop. Right, it might be a lot softer. Right. Really trying to, again, connect with your breath, connect with your flow. All right, the next time that we exhale and stand, we're going to stay standing. Hands move behind us, and then we're going to collect them behind us. So we can maybe hold on to thumbs. We might be able to interlace fingers. We're going to keep the hands at the lower back. And then I'm going to push my hips a little bit forward so I feel that lift to my sternum. Gaze can turn up. We can keep the hands at the lower back. You can lengthen out through the arms if you like. Let's take 3 breaths, breathing in. Breathing out 1. Breathing in. Breathing out 2. Breathing in. Breathing out 3. Good job. Let the arms release. Spine comes back to neutral, so chin's in line. From here, we're going to bring the feet back underneath us. Yeah, leave the arms relaxed. Take a couple circles with the head. Couple circles the other way. Yeah, let the chin drop to the chest, and from there we're going to come back to neutral. From neutral, I want us to think about still keeping front body moving to back body, right? So nothing's popping out, trying to stay integrated and long through the center. And then we're going to have a couple arm options here. All right, so I could just bring my fingertips up towards my shoulders. It's going to be a little bit less dynamic in my rotator cuff, so this might feel like really the right fit. If you feel like there's more space to move into your shoulders more, then I could take the hands behind the head. All right, so with my hands behind my head, right, I have my hands here interlaced behind my skull. And my elbows are more forward, right? So that's gonna feel a little bit softer. If there's space, what I wanna do is, right, to peel those elbows back, but without popping out the body, right? Just the arms, right? So you're gonna right, see what feels okay for you. Okay, with that, a little bit more width between the feet is a little bit bigger foundation, so a little bit more stable. Feet in closer, a little bit more balance challenge. So see what feels good. We're gonna breathe in here. We're gonna lift up as much as we can through the top of the head. We're opening through the shoulders. And then when we exhale, we're gonna just lead with the elbow over to the left. We're gonna inhale back through center. We're gonna lead with the elbow. Now we're tipping over to the right. A few times. Moving like you, right? Could be bigger, could be smaller. Listen to you. Good job. Next time we come back through center, we're going to pause. We're going to let the arms relax down. And then we're going to step the feet just a little bit wider than the hips. All right. A little side to side. All right, coming back to center, forward and back. Thinking about hip points forward and hip points back. So now we are kind of shifting the booty back. All right, coming back to neutral with the hips. Take just a little check-in, right? So I don't want my hips to lock. So we're going to be kind of marching and moving around here with the legs, but I don't want the hips to lock. So check in again with that side to side and forward feels like. And if you feel like you're becoming really rigid, maybe just move again into those shapes to let that release. All right. So once I have that sense of freedom and openness in the hips, I'm going to step the legs back in towards each other. And then I'm trying not to lift the hips up here. It's going to be the legs, right? So this is yeah, just our march, right? You can point the toes, right? And again, it could be a little march. It could be a bigger march, right? So you're moving like just feeling that. Just want to get used to the flow. Right, and this does start to challenge our balance too. So if you do want to reach over for a balance object to help you feel more stable as we move here, do that. Yeah, because we're going to start to add on. All right, so we're going to lift the knee up, out, back, down. Up, out, back, down. Yeah. A few more times like that. Right? It could even be toes on the ground, right? That counts too, right? One more time each side. All right, as we come back down, here's where we're gonna add on the behind, right? So we're gonna bring the foot up, the knee's gonna turn out, and then I'm gonna step behind. And then I'm gonna try to pull that knee back up. I'm gonna bring it forward and down. All right, so we're building on. So knee up, out, we step behind, right, a little bit. And try to drop back up. Forward, yep, there you go. All right, moving like you. Could be just a little bit, right? Right, so now we're doing the most challenging part, right? So you're in it as best as you're able. You're listening to you, right? You might be making a really big flamenco style. All right. So now you know the flow. If you want to stop looking at the screen and try to turn your gaze up a little bit, that's going to challenge you a little bit, right? Because vision's part of the balance. So just see how that plays out for fun. All right, one more time each side. All right, when you're back after the second side, come with the palms together at the center of the chest. We'll come back to mountain. All right, yeah. Give yourself just a moment to be. You might let the eyes soften. Just checking in with our head space, with our heart space, with our body space. All right, we're going to finish up with the balance pose here, but this is a strong balance pose. All right, so we want to draw the belly in and up. We're going to pick up that left heel, all right? If there's more space, I'm going to draw that foot up more, right? So we're not lifting the hips, so we're adding on to what we've been doing. And then there could be some extension of that foot forward. It could be just a little bit like this. It could be more. Maybe hands stretch up. Try to keep shoulders over hips. Don't lean back to lift the leg. You could have your balance object still. Now here we go let's try 3 breaths. Breathing in. Breathing out 1. Breathing in. Breathing out 2. Breathing in. Breathing out 3. Good job. Bring the feet back down. Let the arms go. Boogie it out. Boogie it out. Boogie it out. All right, then come back to mountain. We're going to do our other side. This is it for balance today. Right, so belly draws in. Let's just see where we're at. Have my shoulders over my hips. All right, I'm going to lift up my other leg. Right, this side might feel different. I'm lifting as much as it feels, as I feel able to. Yeah, and then there can be that extension forward. Right? I'm not leaning back to lengthen my leg though. I'm keeping my shoulders over my hips. Maybe my arms can stretch up. Yeah, good job. Here we go again for 3. Breathing in. Breathing out 1. Breathing in. Breathing out 2. Breathing in. Breathing out 3. Good job. Let the feet come back down. Let the arms relax. Step again just a little bit wider than the hips. Yeah, we're going to really shake it out now. So we're going to turn around ourselves. Right? You can keep it more relaxed, keeping the feet fully on the ground. Yep, you want a little more. Right? We're turning up the opposite heel. Right? Maybe the front arm comes to the shoulder. You see what feels right. All right, I'm going to count us down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Slow it down as we come back to center. We bring the feet back up underneath us. Just let yourself be here in stillness. Eyes can soften. Yeah, just feeling for a few breaths. Maybe noticing sensations in the body. Maybe there's tingling in the arms. And maybe noticing the temperature of the air on your skin. Sounds that might be in the space around you. Okay, softly opening the eyes. We're going to make our way back down onto our backs on the mat. We're going to have a reclining spinal twist. And then we're going to move into our final resting pose. If you want to bring anything with you for your Shavasana blocks for under the knees, an extra blanket, whatever that might be, take that to your space as you come on down. So as we make our way onto our backs, we will have our soles of the feet on the mat. All right, so knees are still bent. Yeah, and then we're going to let the arms stretch out again to the side. So that T shape with the arms. Bring the inseams of the knees and the ankles in towards each other. So the legs are close together. And then we're just going to press in the feet just to pick up the hips a little bit. And then we're just going to send them over to the left. They're going to connect back down to the mat. And then my knees are going to fall to the right. I can be looking over my left shoulder. If you need to adapt the legs a little bit so they feel more able to relax down to the mat, do that. Right, the twist is right our opportunity, right, to move out a little more air. So we could, with each exhale, engage the belly muscles to kind of expel that air more actively. Right, the breath in will just follow. As your next inhale comes, bring the feet back to the floor, the knees to the ceiling. Nose and hips come back to center. Feel yourself at center for a breath in, a breath out. Yeah, then press into feet, pick up the hips, send the hips to the right, let them reconnect to the mat, and the knees fall over to the left. Yeah, gaze can be over the right shoulder. Still playing with that more dynamic exhale. Yeah, draw those belly muscles in. One more breath cycle here. Yeah, as your next inhale comes, knees are back to the ceiling, nose is back to the ceiling, evening out the spine by bringing the hips back in alignment with the shoulders. We're going to move into our Shavasana, right? It might be nice today to let the soles of the feet come together and let the knees open out to the sides. Here's where you could prop blocks underneath the thighs if that is a good fit for you. I know that the shape isn't for everyone, so you could kind of have sort of the same shape with the legs longer and the blocks closer to being under the knees. You could try one leg, you might do no legs, you might have a better shape that you feel benefits you better today. So find that space and that shape for yourself. Yeah, and then once you're there, we can let our attention again turn back in. Bringing our awareness to our breath in, to our breath out, and practicing our relaxed breath together. Breathing in, breathing out, and then breathing in for 1, 2, 3, breathing out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, breathing out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, breathing out 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A few more rounds, counting to yourself into 3, out to 6 at your own pace. If you've been working with expanding the breath, moving through 4-8, potentially do a 5-10. At the end of your next measured exhale, we'll come back to our natural breath. Yeah, here's where we can lengthen the legs long on the mat. Yeah, staying in that quiet inside space just a little bit longer. You can let your attention come to linger on the sound of the chimes. Come back into the body with a wiggling of fingers, a wiggling of toes, a rolling of wrists, a rolling of ankles. Yeah, find one more big stretch with the breath in. Yeah, and the softening with your exhale, you can roll onto your side, from your side. Yeah, we can make our way back up to a seat. As we find our seat, we can let the eyes stay soft or closed, bringing a hand to the heart and a hand to the belly. Breathing in through the nose. Soft breath out of the mouth. Again, like that. And softening your head to your heart, honoring the light within you, seeing and honoring that same light in each and every one of us. Namaste.